Page number 20. The three circles in the drawing on figure 1 that we have shown on the image are labeled with the letters A1, A2, and A3. The circle A3 represents the physical world in which external pressure is at work. A2 represents the spiritual world in which internal tension is active. The circle A1 is the divine, highly intelligent world that regulates both pressure and tension and builds. The square represents the human being enclosed in the three worlds, creating a favorable environment for one's manifestation. Pressure implies the conditions and tension, the opportunities in life. Once there are conditions and opportunities, a person can manifest oneself. The physical world, represented as pressure, is related to the creation of the world through densifying. For matter to be manifested, to become visible, tangible, and suitable for creating forms, it should be densified from a gaseous state into a liquid state, and from a liquid into a solid state. The physical world's manifestation is a result of the pressure existing in nature. The spiritual world's manifestation is a result of the internal tension, and the divine world's manifestation is a result of the supreme intelligence that regulates both forces, pressure and tension. Without perceiving the world in its triple manifestation, someone may think that everything depends only on the material world, thus believing that it is easy to act and move in life. It is easy indeed, but for those who understands the world, not for the unaware ones. When people are exposed to great difficulties in life without knowledge of how to cope with them, they will be at risk to pass through great misfortunes and sufferings. People need positive knowledge to deal with the obstacles which they alone have put in their way because of their ignorance. The nature opposes them. 2. There are no greater obstacles than those that people create by themselves when they ignore the laws of life. The barriers that one encounters on the path of life stem from the lack of understanding, external pressure or outside conditions, and internal tension or inner opportunities. Pressure and tension have their sensible reasons, but as we do not understand them, we think that they are something mechanical, and as a result, we have an unreasonable attitude towards them. So a person is placed between the fire of those two forces, external and internal. One is under attack, both from inside and from outside, and willingly or not, that one will have to go through that zone. What should a person do to pass through it and exit without harm? You will say that only God can arrange that. In this case, God implies the sublime intelligence that regulates pressure and tension by harmonizing the physical, spiritual, and the divine laws. Some people complain of being extremely nervous and tense. They should not complain, but be thankful for the internal tension. Without it, external pressure would have flattened them as a sheet. And if not affected by the external pressure, people would have expanded so much that to dissipate into small particles floating in space. Military bombs are made after the law of pressure. When they are exposed to a greater internal tension than the external pressure, it causes them to explode into many tiny particles that are scattered in space. Wherever one of these particles falls, it causes enormous harm and misery. Studying physical pressure and tension, one sees that there are also psychic pressure and tension which affect the person's mental life. For example, one bad word spoken to someone can produce either physical pressure or tension in that person. If the word acts from outside, it causes psychic pressure. If a person lets it in, it produces psychic tension, and as a bomb, it can explode, causing harm even to the physical body. Those who have not experienced the power of words cannot imagine the impact they could have on a person. For example, a young man returned from abroad to see his parents, thank them for all their care, and show them his diploma. But on his way home, he met somebody who told him of his father's death. Do you know how these words could have affected the young man? They could have had a devastating effect on his psychic and physical life. Sometimes without any evident reason, one can suffer a defeat. We have real-life cases of people who have lost their speech and motion as they were walking. What has happened to them? You might say that they got paralyzed, we say that external pressure was greater than they could bear. They befell in a difficult situation and could not handle it. This caused them great worries, anxiety, and disturbance that created a strong inner tension. These two forces within, pressure and tension, became unbalanced. The person could not cope with them and got paralyzed. Many people do not understand life, and as a result, they encounter both good and evil, experiencing great contradictions. What are good and evil? Theologists give a specific explanation on them. Speaking in a scientific language, we say that good and evil in the world are nothing else but forces that affect people from outside and from inside. Some of you ask, is it not possible for only good to reign in the world? Can life go without evil? Some others say, one should not be too good. Those people do not understand things scientifically. Evil represents pressure. Good represents tension. If evil does not act from outside in the present conditions, in the current stage of human development, then good cannot manifest itself at all. External pressure is the reason for the manifestation of internal tension. If pressure is removed, the human being will burst into thousands of particles and will go unknowingly where in space. Two fighters are wrestling. Both are in great internal tension. Each one of them wants to be the winner. At the same time, they exercise some pressure on one another. Therefore, in their struggle, they produce external pressure on one another that counteracts the force of their own internal tension. This example symbolizes the struggle between external conditions and internal opportunities in people. People can never be happy until they come to a new sensible understanding of life and nature, becoming aware of the significance of those forces that operate in them. You hear somebody say, I do not want to have this and that hardship. That shows a mechanical understanding of things. Hardships cannot be eliminated in a mechanical way. The deepest reason for a hardship is hidden in one's incorrect attitude towards things. Therefore, if an external problem is removed in a mechanical way, soon another problem will appear. If there's a lack of understanding, difficulties will always exist. When ignorance is removed, difficulties will be eliminated too. For example, if someone walks in the street and does not care enough where he steps, he could fall and hurt himself badly. Then he gets angry and looks for the cause outside of himself, saying that the world is bad, the world is created wisely, but people do not always act sensibly. One should be wise enough to live properly without having great difficulties. By not behaving right, and if you are not very cautious and touch a hot stove, you will burn your hand. The burn itself is nothing else but pressure. You receive something from outside while giving something from yourself, but you give more than you take. So when the exchange is not equal, suffering emerges in one or another form. You should observe the law of equal exchange to avoid sufferings. As much as you give, that much you will receive. The more you give, the more you receive. If you give little, you will receive little.
So, in today's lesson, we have discussed some of the most complex elements of living as human beings, and we discussed in the previous studies that human beings are metaphysical beings. We are not just a physical embodiment of light. We have layers, and these layers has a complex set of physical laws, and those laws governs the construction of the physical matter and the behavior of the physical matter in any given 3D space. 3D means the X, Y, and Z direction. And in this section of the book, we have seen that Peter Danov is also talking about the three foundations of the existence of the human being, and those three foundations are as essential as the construction plus mechanics and the operations of the universe as we know it. Now, the last part talked about the closed loop. So imagine it's like a closed loop, but the closed loop is not a box. A closed loop is literally a torus. So the torus is the best and the most stable shape in the known universe so far. Why is that? Because the energy creates a field, and the field is curved on itself. So you've probably seen that picture. I'll see if I can put the picture in the on the screen. It's the energy field. It's curved on itself, which actually looks like an apple that's cut from the middle. So you can see the cross section, but in reality it's like a donut. So that's the most stable shape in the known universe. Why is that? It's because of the complex set of physical laws. Although this part of our study is not focused on that, and we'll leave that on to another episode, but just remember that the best form of stable geometry is actually the torus, and the torus can multiply itself without distorting its original form. So for example, if you put a square can become a cube, and then the cube can become a dodecahedron, and then that dodecahedron can be collapsed into a torus. And now that's slightly a physics / mathematical problem, which requires an in-depth mathematical calculations in order to prove it. Mandelbrot's set is the best example of toruses multiplying on themselves without distorting its shape. But when you put these toruses together, it creates a unique shape, which is quite beautiful to see. It looks like a flower, and that's again that we are stepping into the uncharted physical territory. In this subject, and in this section, we should avoid that. But the construction of the universe as a physical creation depends upon give and take. So E equals mc square. The more you give, the more you receive it back, because the universe is a closed loop. Hence, whatever you give out in the form of energy comes back to you. So if you are negative, you get the negativity back. If you're positive, you get the positivity back. All the sages, the saints, the scholars, the teachers, the gurus, they always teach the same thing. Give it back what you want to receive. So in easiest way, if you want to receive a lot of love, you have to give the love back. And sometimes you have to initiate it in order to get it back. So that's exactly what this section of this study we have seen so far in this book. This section of the book spoke about. So yep, that's the lesson. We're gonna be back with more of these pearls of wisdom. Stay tuned.